Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Sir Henry as our lecturer and all my friends. Today we will continue with our discussion that is about planning response. I'm Millennium as the first presenter, so let's go to the first material. Planning response. So what is meant by planning response? Planning response, if one's teacher have decided upon a task, a purpose, and an approach, they remain the task of formulating a specific plan for orchestrating classroom event. What will the student do, and how will activity be like, and what goal can be reached and achieved by the student, that called planning response, and it did by teachers. So we go to the next. In planning activity, teachers should probably assume that their primary goal is to foster the student articulation of honest and intelligent response. So the main point of a teacher is actually to assume primary goal to foster the student articulation of honest, that is very important for student, and of course also the intelligent response. But in many cases, teacher and student are frustrated in pursuing this very straightforward purpose. Yeah, sometimes and also nowadays it's very hard to build the honest and intelligent response in a student. So we go to the next. Student may find that classroom activity are limited simply to giving correct answer. Yeah, so student, they think that classroom activity is just limited in simply to giving correct answer. So what they need to do is just to give the correct answer and then done like that. So, and also, rather than helping them move towards some coherent hypothesis, this often unrelated question may actually fragment student attention, so they don't need to give lots of attention, sending them up in several different directions. So yeah, giving direction, just give the correct answer and done. And we go another problem with many class activity is that student may not be adequately prepared for them. Yeah, the lesson are not for them. Sometimes it's too easy and too difficult to them. Yeah, that's one of the problem that happens. And also the other problem with some activity is that student may perceive little sense of purpose in them. So they think that why I should study this lesson? What can I get from this lesson? What it impact to me, like that. So they don't understand what the purpose of the lesson. So why it's important for me? And finally, student may not be motivated to participate in an activity because definitely it seems different from a social context in which they live. Yeah, they are not motivated in learning process, but if there is some of them that motivated, it seems different from the social context in which they live. So we have to realize them that it is different from the social context in which they live, like that. And next, most students will be more motivated to complete an activity if they are doing an activity with others. Yeah, children, they are excited when they meet each other, their friend, like that. They will be more active when they have activity with others' friends. As social culture, so we are a social, students enjoy sharing the response with their peers. So yeah, they love to sharing with their friends, so the children, and then they like to talk with their children so that they can share what in their mind. So that's why we as a teacher, it's important for us to plan activity that can be done collaboratively with other students, because yeah, that will be more effective, because children, they like to interact with each other, like that. And then we go example of developing guided response activity. What can we do in that class? There is an example. For example, we as a teacher, we explain about the form as a lecturer student, lecturer teacher, we teach and explain about poem, and then ask the student to write a free write about poem. So we ask them write about poem like that, and then they can share their free write poem in verso. They can, for example, with their chairmates, what do you think about my poem? Is it good? So they can share. So what? After that, when they have already shared with their friends, with their chairmates, and we can make it in larger. That's become a small group discussion. Yes, they can share them not only with one people, not only with their peer, but also in small group discussion. That will be more effective. Why? Because the student, they can share what in their mind. They can create their own word, and it can build their confidence to speak in front of people and something like that. 5 questions. So what are the 5 questions? The first one is, what activity will I use and in what order? And then, what should I include in my direction? How do I show them to do an activity? And how will students assess their response? And how will I promote excitement to encourage response? Okay, let's discuss one by one. What activity will I use and in what order? So, let's discuss one by one. So, what activity will I use and in what order? So, in selecting activity, the first thing that need to do by teacher is to determine scope of an assignment, its length and its breadth. It's called time management. So we, as a teacher, we have to know the time management. So how long this task will be done by the student. Like that, if there is homework, let we give like a short homework. For example, the homework that can done only one day by student, and also long time homework. For example, the student can do this homework. For example, we give time a week. That's called time management. And also the learning process. When learning and teaching process, the time management is also important by them, for them. And teacher then select the strategies. There is strategies. For example, the first one is engaging. What it means? So we ask as a teacher, and we ask our student to have an teacher then select the strategies. So what are they? The first one is engaging. So what is this? Engaging is when you as teacher, you ask the student to take a part of your material. So you ask them to take part on the lesson. So that's called engaging. And then conceiving, so you make sure your student understand what are you talking about, and what did they get what you say or not, and do they understand about the lesson. That's. And then the third one is interpreting. So interpreting is when you ask your student to understand, and then you ask them to speak what you get from the lesson. That's called interpreting. And then you can describing, for example, the teacher describe about the lesson, and then explaining. It's very common for teachers explaining about the lesson, what will they talk, what will they teach the student. We go to the next. And then the second one, what should I include in my direction? It's important for teacher to give the right direction, right? Teacher direction for activity are often too nebulous or global. As a result, children do not know what to do in order to complete an activity. Sometimes the teacher just give, for example, direction. Do this exercise, page 20. But the teacher, that to noble, so the students still don't understand how to do that, lesson, how to do that exercise, like that. And then too specific. For example, yeah, the student give the detail, and then like they give the answer to the student, like that. So, if as a teacher, make sure that you are in giving direction to your student, it is not too specific and not too general, like that. And then the third one, how do I show them how to do an activity? In addition to specifying direction, teacher may also provide students with models of response that demonstrate successful use of a response strategy or activity. And also, these models are particularly helpful for students who may have difficult knowing how to complete a strategy or activity. So, we as teacher, we have to know if they did they have already understand about the lesson or not. So, it's important for teacher also to demonstrate what about the lesson. So that's why the student can they effectively can understand what are you saying about, because you demonstrate it to them, so it will be more effective for them. We go to the next slide. How will students assess their response? So after free writing, listening, and mapping, or any other activity, students will receive their initial response and think further about whether they have enough relevant information to fulfill the purpose of this activity. So after they are already mapping, already listen, and already write free form, students should review their initial. So they need to review what they have already got and respond and think further about whether they have enough relevant information or not about the lesson. So number 5, the last one is how will I format an assignment to encourage response? So in information writing version of these activities, teachers are trying to encourage students to extend their response or to perceive certain relationship between information and listen. So in formatting assignment, teacher might consider of the following technique. So the first one is number of list. So yeah, we make the number of the list, and then don't forget graph and chart. It's also important for them, and white space. Why white space? To not make the student or the other one confused of what assignment that have you already made. So I think that's all of my presentation today. I'm so sorry if there is many mistakes. Finally I say wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.